All right, welcome in Friday night. This is housekeeping time, and I wanted to address one of the incidents this week that a lot of people have had questions about, and it was following the Raiders game. Kyle Shanahan on his conference call Monday was asked about Brandon Aiyuk, who had 9 catches for 101 yards against Las Vegas. It was obviously a statistically really good performance, and when a reporter asked Kyle Shanahan on the conference call the day after about Ayuk's performance, I think everybody expected Kyle to have a fully complimentary answer. But Kyle Shanahan didn't have a fully complimentary answer, which led people to believe that he called out Brandon Aiyuk. But it's not that simple because it goes back to what Brandon Aiyuk said about himself right after the game. But first, let's listen to what Kyle Shanahan said about Brandon Aiyuk in this game.
I thought Ayuk really rebounded well. I thought he was struggling a lot in that game, but he ended up making some big plays at the end that really helped us win. So I thought it was a hell of a job by him just overcoming how some things started and things like that, and ended up finishing real strong.
What was he struggling with early in the game?
Just a number of things, just certain things that happen on every single play. I know wideouts. They don't really get noticed on when they get the catches and things like that. But they are either blocking or running a route on every single other play too. So just whether they get the ball or not isn't really what you always judge off of it. So there's responsibilities on each play, and so that's why you can't always judge how great of a game it was based off of stats. I know it was great that he got over 100 yards, which I was happy for him. He deserved it. It's one of the reasons we won there at the end. I'm just saying that he's had some better games throughout the year.
All right, interesting stuff. 9 catches, 101 yards, but Kyle Shanahan did go out of his way to emphasize that Brandon Aiyuk did some stuff wrong. Now, the television broadcast caught one of the things that might have upset Kyle Shanahan in the first half. Brandon Aiyuk appeared to miss a block on an outside run for Christian McCaffrey. He was supposed to take out one of the DBs. Aiyuk didn't take him out, and because of that, McCaffrey was stopped, I think, for a 3 or 4 yard gain. Aiyuk also had a drop early in the game. So maybe those are the things that Kyle Shanahan is referring to. But still, I get it. Some people on the outside are like, wait, that's weird. 9 catches, 101 yards, took over the game, 5 catches of the last 2 drives of the game. Why is Kyle Shanahan making it a point to, look at some of the negatives? And to that, I think we need to go back to Brandon Aiyuk's post-game press conference. Now, what I'm about to play, came the day before, right after the 49ers had beaten the Raiders. And I think it's necessary to say that Brandon Aiyuk might have called himself out first. Listen to this.
I just knew it was time to make a play. I didn't like how the game had went early on. Obviously, as anybody does, they have expectations and what they want to do coming into the game, and I didn't feel that. I think Kyle wanted to get it to me early. It wasn't working out. I felt as if he went away from me, rightfully so. And then he came back to me at the end, so I knew I wanted to, for myself and for who I believe I am, and for this team to go out there and make some plays and get a win.
So very, very interesting, right? Brandon Aiyuk said that Kyle Shanahan went to him early, then stopped going to him, started using him as a decoy essentially, and then decided to direct the offense back to Brandon Aiyuk late. Aiyuk obviously thought that it was something that was happening because he didn't perform up to par early in the game. But the key 2 words there were Aiyuk said, rightfully so. I thought that Kyle went away from me intentionally, rightfully so. So Aiyuk, in a way, called himself out. He said, yeah, I messed up on something early in the game, and we can all guess what it was, but it was probably the missed block, and it was probably the drop or a combination of the two, and maybe some other stuff that hasn't been divulged publicly. But Brandon Aiyuk, in his press conference the day before Kyle Shanahan spoke, said that he didn't deserve to be getting any attention from the passing game in the middle of that game. He said, rightfully so. Kyle Shanahan was justified in turning elsewhere over the middle part of that game. But then obviously Aiyuk made up for it later in the game when Shanahan went back to him. 9 catches, 101 yards. And I think that it's time that we look at the big picture here, which is Aiyuk is 44 yards away now from a 1,000-yard season, which would be his first, and that's a coveted number for a wide receiver. He's 956 yards on the season right now. So that's something that we're going to be watching as the 49ers take on Arizona on Sunday. And I think when you look at both what Shanahan said on the Monday conference call and what Aiyuk said about himself after the game on Sunday, I think it's very apparent that they have got a good back and forth working relationship. Yes, Kyle Shanahan is really, really hard on his wide receivers because Kyle was a receiver himself back in the day. We've seen guys like Dante Pettis not work out with the 49ers, but Brandon Aiyuk is one of the receivers that's working out for the 49ers. And Brandon Aiyuk is a player who the 49ers have gotten good football out of after a tougher stretch, right? He had the injury-fueled struggles to start 2021, but then he hit rhythm with Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, Aiyuk has also had to find rhythm with Brock Purdy. And I think that's why Kyle Shanahan is such a stickler about doing small things right, because you do one small thing right, you're more likely to do 10 small things right. When you're running the crossers, the slants like Brandon Aiyuk was running at the end of the game against the Las Vegas Raiders, that's what really, I think, got Brock Purdy out of his little slump toward the end of the third quarter, start of the fourth quarter. Everything has to be, right. The P's and the Q's have to be there. You have to dot all the T's, cross all the I's. If you're doing something a little bit wrong as far as route running goes, that could be an interception with that linebacker dropping back, expecting a play like that. If you drop the pass, well, then you're putting the 49ers behind schedule. So I think Kyle Shanahan, yes, he's been a stickler with Brandon Aiyuk. Yes, he was a stickler during the game on Sunday, but Brandon Aiyuk, recognized this, said that Kyle Shanahan was rightfully a stickler. And then Shanahan, knowing that Aiyuk had already called himself out the day before, wasn't shy about being honest with the media as far as what he thought the shortcomings of Aiyuk's game were. So, all too often we have this mentality from people online, and then, it even creeps into NFL buildings with coaching staffs. Oh, these are professional athletes. They have to be bubble wrapped. Can't say anything critical about them. I think that Kyle Shanahan's just real with the media. I think he said, yeah, Aiyuk had 9 catches, 101 yards, but we went through this during the game where I went away from him for a while because I didn't think it was his best game. And I was really trying to get the best out of him. And I'm going to tell you guys about it. People just aren't used to how open Shanahan is. But based on what Aiyuk said the day before, he wasn't upset about Kyle Shanahan potentially calling him out the next day. And Shanahan was just being truthful. And I think that there is a level of respect there that has allowed the 49ers to develop a true kind of alpha locker room, right? A locker room that has a good vibe to it, but also takes some accountability. And the proof is in the pudding. Aiyuk is 44 yards away from a 1,000-yard season. That's all you really need to know. To have those kind of numbers on this loaded of an offense, you got to be doing something right. And I think Shanahan recognizes that. Aiyuk obviously recognizes that. And the better that this partnership works with the back and forth moving forward, the better the shot at a Super Bowl the 49ers have. All right, hope that clears something up. I know a lot of people did not know about that Aiyuk clip from Sunday, but I think it adds a lot of context to the Shanahan clip from Monday. All right, everybody take care. Have a great Friday night.